Welcome back, everybody, to Who's Your Band? I am Jeffrey Paul. Last episode, we were talking about, with Alan Fuchs, some of the best concerts we've ever seen, best concert experiences we've ever seen. Well, there's a flip side to that. What are some of the worst concerts we've seen? What are some of the worst concert experiences we've been through? So today, I'm going to introduce my co-host we spent the weekend with. We were up in Poughkeepsie at Laugh It Up. Give it up, everybody, for Sean Morton.
Oh, Jeffrey, what an amazing weekend, wasn't it?
It was fun, man. It was always good hanging with you.
Oh, it's a great hang, but you know that your last show is always great when like you get your time gets cut because there's only 11 people. And then you decide that you want to end the night by buying gas station beer and drowning yourself to sleep. It's always great.
Or you could drive 2.5 hours and think about that last show. Because what happened before doesn't matter. It's only what happened on that last show.
Yeah, the two shows were great, and you did fantastic on both shows. I think I had great sets towards the end, and it's always good with like you're the headliner and they go, yeah, do whatever time you want, and I pushed it, a couple shows doing like 50 to close to an hour on some of them, and then the last one it's like 29 minutes is fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Well, that's a perfect segue into what we're talking about here today.
Oh, yeah.
Where sometimes we've seen the best concerts, and we're going to be talking about some of the worst concerts. And what better guy to talk about this with than one of the best comics in New York City, man. This fucking guy he really is great. I've never, ever seen him have an off night. He is easily one of my favorites. Please give it up for the very funny Mr. Richie Redding. How are you, Rich?
Yay, thank you. I love how we're also incapable of introducing people without trying to get an audience to clap for them, even when it's give it up for this guy.
I love how Jeff has like 3 pictures behind him. I have my ridiculous, stupid man-child office, and Richie has a fucking elephant behind him.
Yeah, what do you know about that?
This is going to be the greatest podcast I've ever done. I guarantee it.
With the worst backgrounds.
Wait, are you saying that this is a bad background? This is the mural from my girlfriend's bat mitzvah.
Oh my God.
Why do you have that? Why did she have that for her bat mitzvah?
Lisa Saves the Planet and the Animals was the theme of the bat mitzvah.
Oh, she was into being a vet even back then when she was 13 years old?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's great that she knew exactly what she wanted to do.
It reminds me of the backdrop.
Did you know that you wanted to be a
Scarface.
vet? Oh, no, wait. Sorry, Sean. Rich, did you know that you wanted to be a comic when you were 13?
I was always fascinated with comedy, and when I was sick and I was allowed to like rent as many movies as I wanted, I got when I was like 13, 14, I would get Carlin specials and like Pryor and shit like that. So yeah, I mean, I always knew I wanted to try it, and then it wasn't until I started working a desk job that was soul sucking that I was like, it was basically like when I realized that everybody defines themselves by what they do. I was like, if I have to do that, if that's the rules to life, then I at least want to do something cool.
It's very true.
Very good. Yeah, that is pretty cool, and it's great that your wife had that calling. My wife is your girlfriend. My wife is a vet as well.
Yeah,
and she also knew, I think, when she was a little kid, that this is what she wanted to do. There was no plan B for her, so to speak.
And I'd imagine she's not at all a type A personality and is super easy to deal with all the time.
Oh yeah. She's easy breezy. Yeah, she's not type A. Yeah, right. She goes with the flow. She doesn't bust chops. Right? No, it's nothing like that. Yeah, it's so easy. Yeah, and especially like an Italian. Yeah, she's so easy to live with. Oh,
she just drinks in the closet being married to Jeff. That's all she does. She just sits there at night with a bottle of friggin' vodka and crying herself to sleep.
What are you spying on me?
You have a closet cam?
Let's talk about some of the worst concerts. Like when I asked Richie to do this, I asked him if he's a music guy. I always wanted to get Richie on the show because I always think Richie's an interesting guy. He's very, very funny. But we're a music show, and he doesn't really have like a band.
Right.
Or a particular genre of music that he kind of like, really kind of like connects to. He's like a lot of music fans. He likes a lot of different types of music. But we started talking about concert experiences, and he started telling me a funny story about one particular concert. So let's roundtable a couple of different concert experiences. I will start with you, Rich. Tell show the story that you were telling me.
Right. Well, I want to preface it by saying that it's like music is definitely a part of my life, and I always have something on in the background, and there's definitely different stages of my life that I connect to different bands and different genres and stuff like that. And that, I can get easily transported back. But I also when you ask me about doing it, it's like, I don't want to put myself out there as an authority of any band, because if I do something, I want to do it well. But what I do think I can talk about pretty well is that I've had the privilege of attending some of the worst concert. Well, actually the single worst concert in the history of America. I will go as far as to say this. And it's a first date topic for me that, like, I'll always ask a girl, back when I was dating, I would always ask a girl what's the worst concert she's ever been to, because I know I'm undefeated in it. But I would throw out a little bit of chum in the water before we get to the big one, that when I was, I think, 10, I saw one of the saddest things of my life, which was at the Ringling Brothers Circus when they came to town. Tiny Tim went out and ate.
He was the warm up. He was the warm up for Elephants.
Dude, he went out there and ate his balls harder. I've never seen a musician bomb like straight up, like, because like the other story is like it was at least ridiculous. I mean, he was savagely booed by a Boy Scout troop, and like and the thing about, if you eat balls at a circus, the crowd is armed with peanuts, and that poor bastard, like, he must have just been contractually obligated to go out there and do 10 minutes. They started booing at the minute mark, and he
at a circus with children.
Yeah, and the children were the ones booing. I mean, this was probably 88. And a troop, no, multiple troops. There was a whole side of Boy Scout troops.
By the time it's 88, he's already like well past his prime and really creepy. Sean, do you know who Tiny Tim is?
What's so funny? I haven't thought of Tiny Tim in about 30 years. And then those two words came out. I also have a Tiny Tim experience too. So don't worry.
Did you boo him? Because like, it was actually like, I was there with my parents, and like, once they started booing, I was like, oh, and my dad was like, give me one of these. So I didn't get to join in on the reverie.
Did he sell merch?
Not that day.
I had one of those experiences too. Like, you always remember, and like, you forget after a while. As soon as I heard those two words, I can remember being probably about the same age, like 10, 11. And he was a guest on like a street parade in Jersey City, where they would it would be like a Memorial Day or something like that. And he was on a float, and he just kept playing Tiptoe Through the Tulips like 4 times up and down the street. It's all he did. And people were losing their fucking minds. Like, they were throwing shit at the float. Because this is like in a not a great area of Jersey City either. So it's like, there's like 4 white people, like 149,000 Dominicans, and they have no idea who this guy is. There's like one old lady who's like cheering him on because she probably saw him when he first came out.
So it was the Heights.
And it was in the Heights. Yeah, absolutely.
When you said Dominicans, I know.
Oh, yeah. And I can remember just this big, imposing dude, because he was kind of tall, with like looking half dead.
He looked like Tommy Wiseau's father. The guy from The Room. It's a movie that I'm fascinated with.
Just listen, whenever he says something stupid, Richie, like what he will do multiple times during this podcast, just go completely silent.
I mean, it was a deep cut, Jeff, for sure. But
Sometimes they're just for me, Rich.
No, and he did look half dead. Like he had that freaking weird, like almost like mind pain on his face, but then like the sunken eyes. But the thing, looking back at it as professional entertainers, like we know how this stuff happens, right? So it was like at one point somehow it was some Star Search thing or some shit like that that like got him some recognition, and he was this weird novelty act that like he legit toured for a while, but then his career must have been in the shitter, and his agent came to him and was like, "Look, I've got a gig. Ringling Brothers."
Right.
Fuck, man. Fuck.
So it's kind of like going from 1,000 people at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City to 11 in Poughkeepsie, is what you're telling me.
Dude, yeah, I mean, I can totally. When I was on tour with Cat Williams, I literally one time I called it Suicide Mondays. That I went from 20,000 people in Atlanta to 3 Norwegians, a black guy, and a gay dude at the Pair.
I was gonna say, how to be the Pair.
Precipitous drop off.
Yeah, really.
But yeah,
now, how many songs did Tiny Tim do at this concert?
I think it was 3. I can't believe Sean knows the name of Tiptoeing Through the.
That was his big hit. Tiptoe Through the Tulips, and he played the ukulele.
Yep.
That is savant that you know that.
You'll buckle in.
Okay, that is really something. Well, okay, if that's the case, then if you know songs from the guy that we're building towards here, then wow, I'm giddy with anticipation. But yeah, it was 3 songs. But like, what was a good gig going in between Monkeys on Motorcycles and an Elephant? Like, what was the high end of Tiny Tim's experience? Was it like, was there one that he was like, oh man, I wish it was like back in Macomb? Oh, fuck.
Tiny Tim, when he died, they buried him in his costume with the ukulele.
That's because he only had one suit.
Very possible.
That wasn't in memoriam. That was just a cheapskate family.
Yeah, he became to prominence when he went on the Johnny Carson show. Okay. And he was just kind of like, he was kind of like a whack packer, kind of like a weird guy, and then wound up going into doing like these. He wound up doing like being a guest like on different TV shows. I remember one show he was on. If you guys remember, a show called Love American Style. Yeah, and he played a vampire that was in love.
Really? That I didn't know.
Yeah, so he wound up being like on various TV shows, and then he wound up getting some notoriety in the 80s, maybe, which is why he wound up getting the big Ringling Brothers gig, because he was a frequent guest on Howard Stern's show. And would appear like when Stern did live appearances, he would show up and he'd do Tiptoe on the Tulips.
Wow.
But I hate to break this to you. According to Wikipedia, when he died, he was worth $53 million.
Get out of here. That cannot be true.
Let's change that for them. Because he was literally making peanuts that were getting thrown at him.
Right, exactly.
And there you did. We just went full circle on Tiny Tim.
But unless dude, maybe he was just one of those people that was like, a gig is a gig. And it was just like, he's going to work no matter what kind of person. Dude, the level of performer insanity that you have to never take a night off. If you have $50 million and you're taking float gigs.
Well, did you ever see that Joan Rivers documentary that she put out like right before she died?
I've seen pieces of it. I know her work ethic was insane.
It's a really brilliant documentary if you're a comedian, and it shows her like literally going over her calendar, and she's like booking like a retirement home in the Bronx on a Tuesday at 2:30 because she had nothing to do that day. And this is like probably one of the top 5 greatest comics of all time.
Yeah.
So like ridiculous work ethic, So I kind of understand that.
All right, Sean, what would be one of your worst concerts before we get to Richie's classic?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one concert being so bad that we actually left like halfway through, and I was not one of the only ones. There was like thousands leaving. Was Bob Dylan.
Mm.
And I was probably like, I was in my teens because I was up in New England at the time. So yeah, I can remember just sitting there, like I'm being all excited because I had heard the name and like I was starting to get into that. My uncle would like, hand down records to me and stuff. And when I got to the concert, it was just like this weird, shitty vibe at the concert. And he only played acoustic, and he's off key to begin with, no matter what. He's not the greatest singer in the world.
Yeah, he changes his arrangements a lot too when he's live.
I can remember after like 3 songs, people were booing him. And it was like one of those outdoor spaces where it's like in the summertime, it's like 100 degrees. So everybody's just buying beer to dump on their heads because they're all just sweating, And 3 songs in, he lost them. He just completely lost them. I think we left about 6 songs in. It was just so bad. And people were just literally standing up. And it wasn't like one of those situations where like if you're at a concert and you leave, you can make a quiet exit. This is a place where you had to bring your own lawn chair. So like,
how long did you travel to go to this show?
Well, I used to go to Massachusetts in the summer times, so it wasn't that far. So, but like people
was it Tanglewood?
Tanglewood, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
How do you know that, Rich?
It's the only outdoor venue I've ever been to in Massachusetts, and I had to bring a lawn chair.
Yeah. So it was so people were making
you
like
say that so matter of factly.
I know, what's the truth? Huge ruckus, you know what I mean? So everybody's like getting their shit together. He's trying to sing, Blowing in the Wind or whatever. And they're like, get the cola, just like stuff like that. Fucking horrible show, man. Just absolutely horrible.
I saw him in like 98, I think. And it was the same thing, but indoors. It was unintelligible.
Yeah.
But it was also like cheap enough tickets that it was like, yeah, right. We took a gamble on this one. It's a bust. But what's crazy is that I think like two or 3 years ago, max, it was, obviously pre-COVID, but I had a friend tell me that they were going to see Bob Dylan. And I was like, good luck, dude. Like, because it sounded like somebody was playing a comb when he was talking or singing. And they were like, dude, it was great. Like, understood every word. So somehow between age 70 and 90, he somehow found it again. he turned it around.
He just turned 80 about a week ago. Yeah. I would say for me, one of like the saddest shows I've ever seen. It was Night Ranger. You know the band Night Ranger? Sister Christian?
Yeah.
Never heard the song?
I know that.
Okay, they had a big hit with Sister Christian, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sentimental Street. They had a bunch of big hits. They were big in the 80s and 90s. And I think it was I always get Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods mixed up. I believe it was Mohegan Sun. And they had this space called the Lion's Den.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was basically, Sean, we may have doubled on the last show on Saturday what came out to see Night Ranger that night. Wow. I'm telling you, if there was 6 to 8 people who were only there for Night Ranger, it's a free show. And they're playing in the middle of a casino, and people are walking by, and you're hearing ding, 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 and all the ruckus of a casino floor, and people walking by, and no one paying attention. And then you have these guys well past their prime, like, don't tell me you love me, and doing back to back and trying like to be rock stars, and like, you're not
like
a
doing
rock
comedy at Parks Casino where they had you in the middle bar.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yes. And that curtain certainly is able to keep out
all the sound,
the periphery noise outside, right? But except there was no curtain for
love a Sonic
Night
curtain.
Ranger.
Isn't it amazing?
But there's no curtain for Night Ranger, and it was just really, really sad, man. Like, and now for the next, and like, they can't even get banter going with the audience, and it's just like, you take it because it's a gig, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of when it was like after the fights dried up, after he got out of jail, Tyson at one point was sparring in a casino, like just.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like it was in like New Mexico or something, and people were like smoking cigarettes, and it's like, hey, the champ is here, and he would just like throw punches at some pads. I mean, like it just
it's like Pete Rose would like have a residency outside this like sports memorabilia store.
Oh, yes, in Vegas.
He would just bring stuff. Like if it wasn't there, he would just show up in front of another casino, like sports store, and just pop up like a folding table and would sell autographs and pictures and stuff. It was so pathetic.
Charlie Hustle. That's the original pop-up store right there. Bring your own table.
See, I had another experience with a concert that was both good, amazing, and horrific all in the same time. So I'm a huge fan of System of a Down.
Mm-hmm.
Love the band, and they weren't touring around here too much. So a couple of years ago, we decided to take a trip, and we flew out to LA and San Diego to see them. So out in LA, it's kind of in the offskirts in San Bernardino. There's a great, amazing venue. It was called the San Manuel Amphitheater at one point. So it was kind of like sunken into these mountains, and it was absolutely gorgeous. We had been out there before to see like Slipknot for a couple of years before. And so it's this magical, beautiful place.
It's a really idyllic setting to see Slipknot in.
Well, it's kind of cool because it's on like 26 acres and they had like 3 stages for them. And like, it was just gorgeous then, but we had VIP parking for that show. So I didn't realize how bad the next one was going to be. I tried to get VIP parking and they were sold out. So this place is a monster. Like that's really the only thing in this area. And they had 14 parking lots. But unlike some of the venues that are around here, like PNC does the same thing. They have like 5 parking lots, but they have shuttle buses that'll take you back and forth to the venue. So you're not walking very far. This did not. It started off nice at the show, but we had to park in the last lot, the very last lot, which was, I think, 2 miles away from the venue.
Oh, I hate that.
So we literally walked 2 miles to the venue. We had the wrong tickets. We had the tickets for San Diego instead of the San Bernardino tickets. They were on my phone, but because we were so sunken in the valley, I had to walk a half a mile back just to get cell phone service to screen cap the new tickets that I needed. So I'm getting pissy because I'm fat. I don't want to walk, So we go to the concert, and right when System comes on, it is a fucking monsoon. I mean, it is downpouring like I've never seen before, and it's completely wide open. So, of course, you're standing out in the rain. You're trying to get into the show, and you're into it, but like you also don't want to die in pneumonia at the same time.
Yeah.
Great show. They played 2.5 hours in the rain. Now we have to walk 2 miles back to our car.
Which, if you're fat, is 2 hours.
It really is. It's pretty much, yeah. And I was a lot heavier back then, so you're not that far off from that, too. So we finally get back to
How much did you sweat?
Well, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell the difference between the sweat and the fucking monsoon that was hitting my brain. But we finally get back to the car, and we notice that like nobody's moving. And there's one lane to get out of this parking lot area. And mind you, there's 14 lots. So there was about 60,000 people at this concert. And they start by lot 1. And we were in lot 14. It took us 4 hours to get out of the parking lot. Literally 4 hours. We sat there. It was getting to the point where like we were actually getting panic stricken. Like, what if somebody like died? Like, what if somebody had a heart attack? What if you had to take a shit? Like, that's the kind of things that you start thinking about. Guys are just pulling it out, peeing anywhere. Like, it was a madhouse. We were calling like the local police departments saying like, hey, what is going on here? And they go, you just got to wait it out. That's how it is at every show.
Every show.
Yeah. So it was like 4 hours in the rain just to literally drive 7 minutes away to our hotel.
Oh, fuck. See, when I was on tour, Sean, that's what I used to do. We used to be the guys that if we were playing venues that weren't traditionally concert venues, we came up with those plans. How do you get people out of the parking lot? What if there was an emergency? Is definitely a big thing. And after 2001, after 9/11, everything changed because, with gatherings of over 50,000 people, you had to deal with the feds and there was a lot of troubleshooting. So that's what I wound up doing a lot of the time. And, the last tour that I did was the Harley Davidson tour. That was Journey, Ted Nugent, and like Billy Idol, but bands would switch on and off on this tour. Who would would come on, and that was like a big thing. I remember we were at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and that was like a weekend, and we would get there almost 3 weeks before the show to start setting everything up. And one of the big things was, okay, how do we get people out? We're expecting between 60 and 100,000 people. How do you get them out? How do you get them out in a timely fashion? And you know what? Sometimes the crowd helps you. What they wind up doing, a lot of these, especially when you're down south, I guess, it's down south, middle America, places that aren't huge, not New York City or Los Angeles. A lot of people that's like, fuck it. If the show ends on Sunday, we'll just leave Monday morning. And they hang out and they camp, and you just got to make sure that they're safe. And that's why we would get there early. You would hire local security, but you also had to keep an eye on local security because you don't know who these guys really are. They could be bonded and everything.
Mostly Hell's Angels, but what could go wrong? Yeah.
I'm known for being that guy who will leave like at the last song of the encore, even though it's like if it's the band's most popular song, I'll be like, no, we gotta beat the fucking traffic. I gotta get out of here. That's why
it's a band you've seen more than once.
Well, yeah, but like even when I saw Guns N' Roses like that 7 times in that one summer, like I would always leave before Paradise City because that was always their last song. And it's like one of my least favorite Guns N' Roses songs. I was like, fuck it. I'd be on the turnpike before the song was even over. I would run right out of the stadium and be out of there.
Dude, nobody more plainly like works the crowd for an encore like the Steve Miller Band. That like I don't dude, he plays Steve Miller Band's greatest hits 1 through 14. Skip 7, I believe, is Joker, right? And people are like, dude, he didn't play Joker. He didn't play Joker. And he like walks off, like he's like plays himself off, like, And they're like,
can you turn your head again? Because that is like a fucking epic mullet.
Oh yeah,
shit.
Yeah.
Wow, you can easily be Kid and Play. Good Lord.
Yeah, they call that the Lord's favor right there.
Holy wow, you are like one beer worse rock concert. Jesus Christ.
It was my project during the quarantine.
Oh, that is epic, dude.
Yeah. It used to be high and tight. Now I can feather it, brother.
It's like fucking he's all Richie about Dirt. Kid Rock these days.
Fucking Richie Dirt.
But yeah, Steve Miller, it's like, the crowd's like, dude, he didn't play Joker. He didn't play Joker. And he plays himself off, like looking at him. And it's like the phones come out and he like, it's like 5 seconds and he comes back out and starts playing Joker. Like, oh, he's going to play Joker. Thank God. Yeah. Like, did you not know that he was going to close with Joker, dude? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought he'd close with Abracadabra. No, nothing. You don't know that song?
Well, we do. Richie just followed directions when you threw a stinker out. He just stopped talking, which is great.
Yeah, I wanted to see you panic like the screen froze.
I like this guy. This is great.
I already tell the fucking direction this show's going in. It's going to be beat up on Jeff Day. Okay, all right, I'm prepared now. I'm ready. To piggyback on your story, Sean, an awful show. Again, this was a working one. I was doing. You ever hear the band Fish?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, so it's Fish.
That would have been my band, like I told you, if I had to pick one.
That would have been your band
at a certain point. Yeah,
I hate them. I hate this band.
That's great.
It was Fish, Widespread Panic, and Spin Doctors. Mm-hmm. And we were up in, I think I was telling you this, we were up in upstate New York. I think it was on or near Arrowhead Ranch, and everything about the weekend was brutal. I mean, it was an outdoor show. In the shade, it had to be like 98 degrees. It was just like the sun constantly beating that down on you. You had like jerk off people, people who were just, again, if the shows were Saturday, Sunday, they're coming in on Thursday, not bathing this whole time. They're just
or
like
the week before that.
or the week before that. It wasn't uncommon just to see like these like you see people outside fucking, but it's not like in the movies where like they're hot. That it's just like two wildebeests. It's just like real like nasty shit, and you're just irritated because your day starts at around 8 a.m. and you're probably wrapping up close to midnight. And it's just a long, hot fuck day of just getting just pelted with sun and no relief. And like even like when we would go back to the hotel, they put us up at Villa Roma. And Villa Roma doesn't have air conditioning, in the summertime because it's not a summertime.
That place down.
Yeah, seriously.
Burn it.
Yes.
Fuck you. If I show up to a hotel that's especially supposed to be a resort and there's no AC, oh my God.
It was a winter type.
I can't think of anything worse.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. I think I was telling you, the only accommodations that were absolutely the worst was we were up on Yager's farm, where the original site of Woodstock.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of like a Woodstock reunion. It was like half Woodstock reunion where they had original guys like Richie Havens and a couple of other bands like that. I think 10 Years After was there as well. And then they had like some newer bands like Third Eye Blind played one night, and I remember Stevie Nicks was there. But the accommodations were it was a hotel that was turned into a meth clinic. Okay. And there were it was me and my two friends.
Wait,
in a room.
methadone? Methadone clinic? I don't think there's meth clinics.
Okay.
Well, no, that was the guy. That was the guy at table 4 last night, Jeff.
It was a residential, and we were in this room, and my friend Fred, who is now Springsteen's road manager, me and him were roommates with this other guy, Steve Yacco, and in the middle of the night, Fred starts moving his bed near mine. And I know Fred for years. I'm like, Fred, what the fuck? He's like, there's a mosquito nest above my bed, and they're just dripping down. They're just falling down on them. It was so like, disgusting.
Larvae are falling on him?
Oh, dude.
Mosquitoes are just dropping down.
A flashback. I did stitches in fucking Lancaster, like, I don't know, 1 million years ago. And I stumbled into the room. They put me in the basement room, and then I turned a light on, and there were bugs that were about like 4 inches long that were just running all over the walls. And I freaked out because I thought they were like roaches. And the guy came in and he was like, "Oh no, man, we can't give you a new room because we're sold out. Don't worry, those are just stink bugs." I'm like, "What do you mean stink bugs?" He goes, "Yeah, you step on them and they stink."
Yeah, so if you kill them,
the showers never
suffer more.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, what a fucking flashback that was. Jesus.
Dude.
Rich,
so,
you got another bad concert story?
Yeah. So, also, you gave me a good lead in with Fish because I think I was a senior. No, I might have just graduated from college. And I know that's when it was because I had a leg immobilizer on because I broke my leg the last day of school drunken wrestling. And I had done a ton of shrooms at this point, but I got a wild hair up my ass that at this Fish concert, I was going to take acid. And I just walked around. So kids, don't do this. Just walked around to a bunch of strangers, be like, "Do you have acid? Do you have acid? Do you have acid?" And finally, got some.
Did you know what you were taking?
Huh?
Did you know what you were taking?
No, that's the whole thing. I was like walking around with the beer and like, somebody pointed me, it's one dirty patchwork hippie pointed me to another dirty patchwork hippie. And this guy was like, he was a human hacky sack. And he sold me. It was like, yeah, like, take 2 hits because that'll keep you going. And he's like, "Have you ever done it before?" I'm like, yeah. And so he puts 2 hits of something into my beer. I don't feel shit. until, and it's like an hour that I'm like waiting for it to come on, nothing. And it's like Fish is on stage at this point, and people are kind of like, rushing towards, it was at Tweeter Center. So it was like lawn seating. And then, there's always the crush once the band comes on. So I'm like, fucking swinging the leg immobilizer. And then it was like, it hit so fast that it was like, I think I'm going to boom. Like, I don't remember falling. I just remember waking up and there's 10 people standing around me. And I was with this girl that I liked, she was a hippie chick, but she was just like a weed chick. And just everybody standing around me, and they like helped me to my feet. I was like, how long was I out? They're like 20 minutes. Like,
oh shit.
Wow.
And you didn't call like some kind of authorities over? They're like, yeah, well, we didn't want you to like get arrested. So like, okay. And some guy helps me like to the bathroom. And like, as soon as
guessing Richie knows his underwear is around his ankles.
So,
from his ass.
So as soon as I start walking, it's just me and this guy, some dude walking by, and he goes, oops. And he points at my crotch, full on pissed myself while I was out.
Oh.
Yeah. And then just like had to, and like, by the way, never tripped. I don't know what this fucking guy gave. Maybe it was like GHB or something.
And you took 2 hits.
I mean, whatever.
One wasn't enough.
Yeah, who knows what it was? I'm pretty sure.
You decided to take 2 of them. You doubled your dosage. Buddy,
I'm an addict. I'm not taking one of anything. I've been sober for 13 years for a reason. Yeah, so I had to, and it was like a hot day also, and I like washed it. But so that's the thing. When you piss your pants, what do? Right? All you can do, you either dry it so you've got dried piss on your pants and it's going to smell to high heavens, or make it wetter it at least is a water stain. So not wearing undies at this time. That was a phase. So I basically just like took them off. I'm like naked with a leg immobilizer as all these hippies are going in and out to take a piss, and like washing these pants in the sink, and then, or these shorts, and just had to spend like the rest of this hour miserable, wet, and dazed, and like also never hallucinated. There was no tripping.
I have a similar story.
Is the chick? Hold on a second. Is the chick still with you?
I mean, it was like a group of people, like we went, it was a bunch of us, but needless to say, I did not close that deal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went to see Alice Cooper and Motley Crue probably maybe 5 years ago when they were on tour together.
That was a farewell tour.
Yeah. And I was at PNC and I was getting just fucking annihilated in the parking lot. And Alice goes on, and like now we're staggering in, and I'm fucking wrecked. I'm absolutely wrecked. And I remember just walking in there with like a huge bag of potato chips, right? And I wanted it
to be a bag of potatoes so bad.
just fucking holding it.
Yeah, just 10 pounds.
Dude, it was great. So like I'm like, I have to piss. Now when I have to go, the world stops, and I don't care if I'm on the fucking BQE. I will stop my car and just whip it out and pee. Now I have to really piss. And I can remember wearing a Gaslight Anthem t-shirt, and it was very, very long. It was a long t-shirt. I'm like 6'3", so like if I can buy a tall shirt, I will. So I get this fucking shirt. I'm stumbling to the bathroom, and I pull my shorts down to piss, but I didn't lift the shirt up because like the shirt was like halfway down to the shorts.
Ew.
And I'm sitting there and I'm holding it, and I'm like, I don't hear anything going in. And I just all over the shirt. Like it was just fucking horrific.
And so it's just waking up like as the shirt absorbs
it was just rising all the way up. So
defying gravity.
I look down, I'm like, shit. So then I walk out, and I have my pissy shirt, and I go to the merch booth and I go, what size shirts did you go up to? And she goes, I have these in 3X. I go, I'll take that shirt in 3X. So here I am. I'm ripping off my piss shirt and there's pee just flying everywhere because I'm ripping it off like this. So like now I'm shirtless in the middle of fucking pee.
Yes, wringing it out.
Oh, it was gross. Everybody's just looking at me. I'm fucking getting undressed at PNC. I'm putting on this Motley Crue shirt. So now I'm carrying like my piss shirt and my potato chips. And I start walking to the lawn where everybody was sitting. And as soon as I sat down, I had this like moment of clarity. And I was like, wait a minute. They had 2 shirts in a 3X. This could happen again. Let me go back and buy the other shirt just to be safe. So I actually walked back and bought the other shirt, drunk off my ass. I spent $90 on.
I was going to guess $90.
They were $45 a piece. So they charged you extra for the plus size shirt.
Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, I just was sitting there eating fucking potato chips with like my $90 t-shirts. It was so horrible.
That's hilarious. But they don't sell, there's no merch shorts.
Yeah, that would have been a beautiful thing.
You never see pants. That's never part of the merch. When you go
you guys
to
have drawers, that'd be great.
When you go to PNC, like the trick is like, you know, if you're going to pee, and you don't want to wait, or you don't want to miss a song, what you do is you wait for like a really good song. So if it's like Motley Crue and they're going to do Dr. Feelgood, everyone's like standing up and everyone's into it. That's when you take out, you know, you always get a beer and you finish your beer and you save the cup and then you pee while everyone is like watching Dr. Feelgood. And then you take that cup and you put it in front of the seat in front of you.
Or you cannot be a dirtbag and walk to the fucking bathroom too.
Oh no, you're going to miss the concert. You don't do that.
I mean, the Jersey move is just to pee off the fucking balcony. So yeah. I think you're all right.
What now? Is that your monster story? The fish story?
No.
He has a great one. He has a great one.
Okay. So yeah, we've teased it long enough. So I truly think that I went to the worst concert ever held on American soil. I know this about the event. It was the first attempted ever pay-per-view cable concert for the American debut of David Hasselhoff.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was so the way that I wound up roped into it, as did probably 50 kids from my high school, was that this like popular girl, her mom worked for Trump. And so I grew up near Atlantic City, right? So, it was I think it was at the Trump Castle. That's what I want to say. And
the Trump Castle was the Trump Marina.
It was one of the two, whichever one had the concert venue.
Marina had the concert, yeah.
Okay, then it was Marina. And her mom's job was like, you know, audience coordinator or something akin to that. So she got 50 kids from the high school to agree to go. And it was coming off of it was my junior year. So this was 95, 94, 95. Yeah. And it was after like the show was ending, Baywatch was ending. So they're like, oh, we're going to capture his popularity from the show combined with the heat that he's already got in Germany as a musician, and the Hoff will be born. Right. And this concert was so fucking bad. Well, it was so poorly attended, first of all, that they kept doing so there was literally cardboard cutouts of people in like the back 3 rows, and they had like a really small section of the kids that were supposed to be the fans for TV purposes. Huh? No,
they couldn't paper the room.
I mean, I'm sure they papered it some, but there was I know for a fact there was cardboard cutouts.
Brutal.
And they kept doing like swing bys of, you know, like the camera would go past all the kids and they'd be like, okay, go nuts. And then they're like, okay, we need you guys to all switch around so it looks different. And then at one point, one of the audience coordinators is like, okay, can anybody here, any of the girls, can you cry? And we all look at this girl who's like, Miss Drama Club, who actually, she went on to be Miss Saigon, but this Filipino girl, she's like, I can cry. Great. So they do like a few takes of her crying, and they splice this in for when David first appears. They're like making their Beatles moment. But Trump was definitely there with Marla Maples. And I know that he was married to Marla Maples at the time, because Marla went on stage with the Hoff and did a fucking duet.
And she's not a singer. She's not a singer.
From what I saw, not much of a singer, but they did some type of like back and forth call and response, singing to each other duet that was sickening. But like, it was so funny because like, when Hasselhoff was doing his like whatever his big, well, he did the song from Baywatch, right? Like the theme song. He definitely did that song, which, Sean, this is the one that I want to know if you know the name of that song.
Okay. No.
Okay. If
Did you watch Baywatch, Sean?
Very rarely, like little bits and pieces here.
I never saw one episode.
Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering if it was up against, like, if your savantism somehow was dialed into Hoff songs, but he was doing like he would sing, and then it would get to the chorus, and he would like put the mic out to us, and we're all and he's used to being Germany famous, and he would put it out to all the high school kids, and we're just like, yeah, we don't know this song, dude. Like, he was legit bombing at his own concert, but Hobie, who played his son on the show, if you'll remember.
Okay.
He came out and did this. What's the, like, hey, kid, rock and roll.
Rock on.
Rock on.
David Essex.
So, yeah, he came out and did a cover of that. And it was like legitimately the highlight of the show. But then he proceeded to start rapping, and it was just like, nope.
Cody couldn't rap?
Hobie, I believe. It was Hobie. No, yeah. Of all the guys in the world named Hobie, I will bet to say that none of them are great lyricists. But so it was just 2 hours of just dog shit, right? So, but mind you, this is a pay-per-view event. It was up against, I think, Knicks Bulls Game 6. I might be wrong. It was definitely a game. It was a huge Game 6 for somebody. But more importantly, it was up against the single. Okay, it was the day. Here's the trivia for it. The day where the most Domino's pizzas were ever sold on a non-Super Bowl Sunday.
How do you know that?
Because we're talking about the day that OJ ran.
So that was
that's 95.
I know the game. It was in June, and it wasn't Knicks Bulls. It was Knicks Rockets.
Okay. Yes, yep. I accept your knowledge. Well, I amend my story, but so we get back into my mom picks. I'm young enough that like my mom has to pick me up, and we're like, it's me and a friend, and like all we want to do is just trash this thing, and like the second we get in the car, she's like, "Shh, he's running." Like, who? She's like, "OJ, he's running." Like, what are you talking about? Like, OJ killed his wife. He's running. Everybody's watching. We got to get home. Like, weren't allowed to talk at all on the way back because my mom couldn't wait to get back and watch OJ.
What time did this concert start?
I don't know, man.
7.
Yeah, it probably was.
Like, you don't know how bad I almost pulled the trigger on buying the new David Hasselhoff record that came out last year.
What's wrong with you?
Because I've been seeing ads on Facebook constantly. He put out a real like death metal album. Like,
wow.
Yeah, but so did Pat Boone put out a heavy metal record.
No, but that's different. Like, the Pat Boone was like kind of like a weird, like he would do Enter Sandman, and like it was the arrangements were like a little off. This was like a professional metal band who was backing him, like one of those European speed metal bands, and
like
just
Norwegians.
Yeah, with just him singing. And like that, the package was you couldn't just buy like the CD. You had to buy like
was it like Rammstein back on?
No, kind of like, one of those like Symphony X, like those weird prog rock, like those progressive metal bands.
Celtic Frost.
Yeah, something like that. And it's like this weird, like the music is fantastic. It's heavy, it's melodic, and then you hear this jerk off just start singing. And like he's not even like trying to do like a death metal growl or anything. He's just like being David Hasselhoff over these goddamn amazing songs.
But and like, he's like 67.
Oh, easy. And you couldn't buy just the CD. Like you had to buy a bundle. It was like a CD, a shirt, an autographed poster. It was like $100. I was like, if I could just get the CD for 20, that would make just a great story. But I'm not investing $100 into that asshole's career.
Yeah. But yeah, so apparently they literally sold like 10 pay-per-view. Like the night lost millions of dollars.
That's great.
Yeah, and that's why I bring that story up on dates.
I hope Hasselhoff didn't take the points on that.
Yeah, right.
He's like, fuck the guaranteed money. I'll take the points on the pay-per-view.
He took the points. You know how confident that dude was in 95?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Before we saw him eating a In-N-Out burger shirtless on the floor.
Oh. One of the greatest things.
That is a bad concert, Richie. I don't think any of us are going to be able to top that tonight.
No,
it's tough to top.
I tapped out.
But listen, man, we really want to thank you very much for coming on to the show. That's a good story. That alone is worth the price of admission. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you.
So what do you got going on? Before we wrap this up, what's going on in your life? What's going on in your career? And how could our fans find you?
You can find me. Everything is at Richie Redding. I have a podcast that I do with my girlfriend, Dr. Lisa Lippman, that is called We Don't Deserve Dogs. And I do a ton of corporate shows, and I have a company. I have a comedy consulting company called Funnier Than You Are. And we help brands that are trying to create funnier content to connect with their clients and audience.
That's cool.
That's a great thing, man. Richie is definitely, you get a chance to see Richie Redding, by all means do so. He is definitely one of the best comics I've ever seen. Rich, thank you so much for coming on. Sean, you're going to a concert tonight. Who are you going to see?
I'm going to see my friends in War for the Crown. They have a great podcast called Not These Two Fucking Guys. It's a seriously good podcast. They have amazing guests on. I mean, we've had some great guests, and they also pull out a lot of great guests. So I'll also plug a show too. I'm going to be headlining Mohegan Sun on Saturday, August 21st. So if you guys have ticket wants, you can just message me and I'll direct you to the right way to get them.
All right, cool. And we'll bring that up again. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Who's Your Band. We'll catch you next week. We have another great show lined up. Good night, everybody. Take care. Thanks again, Rich.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you.